Stock futures look flat as we go after a very big rally that came from yesterday. Trump is taking hydroxychloroquine. Barr says we may not investigate Obama or Biden, and Governor Ebers hates Wisconsin. Plus, we'll check in with Twitter trending and see what's going to make me lose my faith in humanity. I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. My God, I slapped a hornet's nest last night. I couldn't believe what I was seeing yesterday. All the people that say that the left has the monopoly on kindness and civility and just all around good personness must have forgotten the memo last night when I asked the question as to whether or not it was okay for Nancy Pelosi to call Trump morbidly obese out of nowhere. And yeah, the Pelosi followers just were on me like a pack of bees. And then I deflected their arguments for 40 minutes and then went back and collected my blocks and went about my day. And some of them are still trailing in. Some of them are still trying to call me out to get me to go and scream at them or talk to them or any other thing that they want to do. But my God, did I ever slap a hornet's nest. Anyway, we got a bunch to get to today, and I can't sit and talk about my Twitter wars forever, even though I would love to. I think that would be hilarious. But before we get started, let's get the scene queued up here and get ready to start. We got a bunch to go, but there we are. Before we get started, head on over to freedomscoop.com. Freedomscoop.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all of your news and commentary. We've got Ed's World. We've got the Daily Ignoramus. For whatever reason, it appears that the generational gap is not appearing and populating, so we'll go and figure that out and figure out what's going on there. We've got the R-rated conservative. We have got Freckles and Britt. We've got Wyatt Birkenhoff. We've got, I already said Stephen Ignoramus, didn't I? And we've got me. So come on over there and check us out over there. We've got a bunch of cool content, and we've got swag. So come on over and get your swag as well. We'd love to have you over there just to get your merchandise and wear the Freedom Scoop logo on your back, on your front, or anywhere else that you want to wear it. All right, let's look at stocks. So the first thing, which I promised we were going to start doing after this, is we're going to look at just what the chart said yesterday, and we have got, looks like we started off just a bit over 24,000 from the futures after the previous close of 23,685 and got almost just a little bit over 24.5, which is good considering the way the market has been and everything we're doing. We're inching closer. We're going to get to that 29,000 here again, so look forward to that. But now we're going to go on and read from Investors Business Daily, if I could talk. Let's get the live chat up here so we can watch everybody in here that's talking to us. From Investors Business Daily. Dow Jones today, futures flat ahead of Powell, Mnuchin testimony, China stocks rally, Walmart's coronavirus sales lift. From Alan R. Elliott. Stock futures flattened Tuesday as earnings reports stirred some strong early moves, but investors hunkered down ahead of the Senate testimony from the Fed's Jerome Powell and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin. China stocks were active, with Baidu, Sina, and JD.com all rising. Nvidia moved to continue its pre-earnings rally, while the coronavirus economy sent Walmart into the head for Dow Jones today. Walmart no longer gets my money, so I don't care what Walmart does. Walmart said that we are too good to sell assault rifle ammunition. And I don't have anything that takes 5.56, but just the fact that they went out there and did that like that, no, they don't need my money. That is my personal decision. I'm not going to tell you not to shop there, but they don't need my money. Action was effectively flat on the stock market today as Dow Jones futures, NASDAQ 100, and S&P 500 futures all moved in very tight range near the break-even points. Markets across Asia booked solid gains Tuesday, riding momentum from Monday's rally, and the U.S. stocks in Europe shifted moderately lower heading into afternoon trade. Advanced Auto Parts jumped 6% to lead the S&P 500. Advanced Auto Parts, really? They suck. I know, I've worked with them before. They suck. But good for them, I guess. To lead the S&P 500, Southwest Airlines rallied more than 4% after reporting operating results in May. On the NASDAQ, China-based search engine Baidu grabbed an easy lead, soaring nearly 9%. On the first quarter results, China's JD.com perked up 2.3%, and Nomura hoisted its price target 19% to 64. Marijuana stock Aurora Cannabis jetted almost. There's something you never thought you were going to say in the 90s. Like when I was growing up and first hearing about stocks and starting to understand what it was, listening to Schoolhouse Rock say buy low, sell high, get your piece of the pie. When I was first listening to that, I never thought in a million years that I would hear the words marijuana stock together. That is awesome. Jetted almost 13% higher today after reporting above forecast quarter 3 results. On the IBD 50 list, Kirkland Lake Gold climbed 2.5% as gold futures edged toward fresh 7.5-year high. Chip designer Nvidia added 1.2%, aiming to book a fifth straight gain ahead of the first quarter report on Thursday, after Susquehanna raised the stock's price target to $410 from $355. Nvidia is an IBD leaderboard stock. Earnings news: Eagle Materials, Baidu sign a rally. Advanced Auto Parts, Dycom DY, were among names sweeping higher on earnings early Tuesday. Wallboard manufacturer Eagle Materials surged 6.3% after reporting a third straight quarter of accelerated earnings. China-based search giant Baidu rocketed more than 8% higher as late Monday report showed first quarter earnings accelerated to a 205% gain, even as revenue declined. China internet portal Sina soared 7.2% on earnings. Neither stock is near a buy point. Walmart bounced more than 4% higher. Home Depot dropped 2.5% after announcing their first quarter results. Walmart's earnings and revenue blew past analyst target, boosted by coronavirus lockdown shopping trends. Yeah, because everybody else was closed. People need to eat. As much as a lot of people don't like Walmart, they need to eat. And if that's the only place in town that you can go and get food or flowers or home improvement stuff or anything else that you need to get that everything else was deemed non-essential for, their buy point and price point is going to go up, guys. Management withdrew its guidance for the year but reported a 10% increase in the same-store sales, while e-commerce sales soared 74%. Walmart had ended Monday technically in a buy range above 125.48 buy point in an 18-week base. The base was messy. The attempted breakout was messier, with Walmart stock pulling back more than 8% and triggering the automatic sell rule following a brief March 18th breakout. But while the coronavirus pandemic drove the overall stock market into its bear market dive, Walmart has traded within a relatively tight range. And, of course it did. Because it was deemed essential. And done a good job of holding key levels of support. Whether or not the prior buy point is still valid, the stock would be viable as a rebound from its 50-day moving average, and that's also shaping possible base with a potential buy point at 133.48. And the Home Depot's first quarter results were mixed because they were deemed non-essential in many places. So it's what the government wants to do with one and not the other is essentially what we're looking at here. All right, next one. From CNBC, the U.S. stock futures are flat following the Dow's 900-point surge. This is from Fred Imbert and Yoon Lee. Stock futures were little changed on Tuesday after the market scored its best session in 6 weeks a day earlier on rising optimism about a coronavirus vaccine. Futures on the Dow Jones Industrial Average were up just 5 points or less than 0.1%. S&P 500 futures dipped 0.1%, while NASDAQ 100 futures rose only 0.1%. Home Depot shares lost 2% in pre-market trading Tuesday after the home improvement retailer said net income last quarter dropped 10.7% due to extra costs related to the pandemic, although the retailer also said sales increased by 7% for the period. Meanwhile, Walmart shares gained more than 3% in pre-market trading after the retail reported soaring e-commerce sales in the first quarter. Today's muted action, followed by a strong rally on Wall Street that saw the Dow and S&P 500 both enjoying their biggest one-day gain since April 6th. Investors cheered news that an experimental coronavirus vaccine from Moderna showed promising early signs. The 30-stock Dow jumped more than 900 points, while the S&P 500 closed the day up 3.2%, hitting its highest level since March 6th. On Monday, stocks that would benefit from reopening the economy led the market higher. Cruise operator Carnival gained 15.2%, while Delta and United Airlines both popped more than 13%. With over 100 treatments and vaccines under development, a medical breakthrough, more sophisticated test and trace model, and government support could drive more upside. Mark Hefale, Chief Investment Officer at UBS Global Wealth Management. But our downside scenario cannot be ruled out. This could be triggered by a significant second wave of the virus cases breaking out. You know what I just realized? I never changed the title for this. So, yeah, people think they're still watching Ed's World. Sorry about that. I'll check that into that later and edit it for the replay. With Monday's gains, the S&P 500 has rebounded 32% from its March 23rd low, now sitting about 13% below the record high in February. So, people are opening back up and people want to buy more. So, get ready to start buying because you're going to start seeing stuff go up and it's going to be out of reach here pretty soon again. There's the analytics, and let's move on to some of the biggest news of the day. Trump reveals he's taken hydroxychloroquine in effort to prevent coronavirus symptoms. This is from Andrew O'Reilly. And yes, he's taken hydroxychloroquine, the safe stuff, the medical stuff. He's not taking koi pond cleaner, because that would be bad. That would be if Melania wanted to bump him off for whatever reason. That would be when he would take koi pond cleaner. In pill form, in somebody's soda. This is from Andrew O'Reilly. President Trump revealed to reporters on Monday he's taking the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine in an effort to prevent getting coronavirus, saying he's been taking a pill every day for about a week and a half. I'm taking it, hydroxychloroquine, the president told reporters during a roundtable with restaurant leaders in the White House's state dining room. He added, I think it's good. I've heard a lot of good stories, and if it's not good, I'll tell you right. I'm not going to get hurt by it. The president added that he consulted with the White House physician before starting to take the drug. Dr. Sean Conley, the president's physician, announced in a statement Monday night after numerous discussions he and I had about regarding the evidence for the use against the use of hydroxychloroquine. We concluded the potential benefit from treatment outweighed the relative risks. Actually, I think that was Conley. I don't think that was Trump. Now that I read the paragraph again, hydroxychloroquine is a widely used anti-malarial drug that the president has touted as a possible treatment for COVID-19. But its effectiveness for treating coronavirus has been a subject of debate. A recent analysis of the use of the drug to treat COVID-19 patients in U.S. veterans hospitals found no benefit to using the drug and that there were more deaths among those given hydroxychloroquine versus standard care. The nationwide study, which was released last month, was not a rigorous experiment. Of course it wasn't. And Trump has continued to defend the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat the novel coronavirus and slammed the demoted government scientist who filed a whistleblower complaint claiming he was removed from his post for disagreeing with Trump administration's push to use the drug. Others, though, have pushed back against those findings. I'm not passing judgment whether or not it should be used, Indiana Rep. Larry Bucshon, a physician, told Fox News of hydroxychloroquine. Studies need to be completed. I can tell you that many doctors in the real world are using it off-label for COVID-19. Bucshon criticized the VA study. The study is a retrospective chart review of VA patients who had COVID-19 and were treated, the congressman said. It's not a trial of the drug. Trump said last week that there was a tremendous response to hydroxychloroquine and called Rick Bright, the former director of Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority, a disgruntled person. Disgruntled. The worst. He hates Trump. How can you hate Trump? He hates Trump. I'm the best, the greatest, the most tremendous. During a congressional testimony last week, Bright criticized the Department of Health and Human Services leadership for their response to the pandemic and claimed that he was relegated to a lower position because he disagreed with the Trump administration's push to tout drugs, vaccines, and other technologies that lack scientific merit. Trump's comments on Monday came during a wide-ranging Q&A with reporters, where he also said he was surprised to hear that AG Barr does not plan to open investigations into former President Barack Obama and former Vice President Joe Biden in regards to the origins of the Russia probe. And we will talk about that just a little bit later because, of course, I have that on the stack. That was... I know why they're doing it. And everybody on Twitter... All of right-wing Twitter hates the fact that they're doing it. Absolutely every one of them. Let's keep going here. From the Daily Wire, Pelosi, Trump should not take medication prescribed by his doctor because Trump is morbidly obese. So Nancy Pelosi is more of a doctor than the White House physician. This is from Ryan Saavedra over at Daily Wire. Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi mocked President Trump's weight during an interview on Monday night, saying that Trump should not take hydroxychloroquine prescribed by his doctor because he is morbidly obese. As far as the president is concerned, he's still our president, and I would rather he not be taking something that has been approved by the scientists, especially in his age group, and in his, shall we say, weight group, morbidly obese, they say, Pelosi said. So I think it's not a good idea. Dude is not morbidly obese. Yeah, he's a little bit chunky. I'll give him that. He is not morbidly obese. And just the number of people that ran up to say that it was a medical term, and yes, he was last night when I slapped the beehive, just blew me away how many people were jumping up to say that. And now I actually understand where it came from. I was just asking if it was okay to mock somebody's weight online. I had no idea what had actually happened. I just got done with Ed's World, and I saw that morbidly obese was trending, and that Pelosi had said something about it, but I hadn't actually seen the quote. Pelosi's comments did not make sense as Trump talked to his doctor, and his doctor said that the potential benefit from the treatment outweighed the relative risks. Pelosi's assertion that Trump should not take hydroxychloroquine due to him being overweight and due to his age also does not make sense because she confused those risk factors with the factors that put people at the greatest risk of serious illness or death or if they became infected with the coronavirus, not if they take the medication. CNN's Anderson Cooper did not push back against Pelosi's remarks. Of course he didn't. White House doctor Sean Conley wrote in a letter on Monday on the regimen that he has Trump on. After numerous discussions he and I had regarding the evidence, we read this quote already. We read that one already. So, yeah. It's okay for Pelosi to make fun of somebody's weight, but if, God forbid, Crowder says something about Tess Holliday's weight or Ashley Graham's weight, he's going to get dragged up and down. And he said the same thing in a medical term as they said it. Especially Tess Holliday. I mean, as Crowder, he did say a few more disparaging things, but they went after him for calling her morbidly obese. So, rules for thee, but not for me, I guess is what it is, and Twitter confirmed that last night. All right, next one, also from the Daily Wire. Trump takes historic action to move pharmaceutical manufacturing out of China back to the U.S. This is also from Ryan Saavedra. In a historic turning point, the Trump administration has taken bold action to bring America's pharmaceutical manufacturing back to the U.S. from China and India. Seeking to secure the nation's supply of critical medications, the Trump administration has signed a $354 million contract that would create the nation's first strategic stockpile of key ingredients needed to make medicines, NBC News reported. The agreement was signed Monday with Flowcor, a generic drug maker based in Virginia. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro, a staunch China hawk who is the mastermind behind President Trump's trade war with the communist nation, said that the move will not only help bring our essential medicines home, but actually do so in a way that is cost competitive with the sweatshops and pollution havens of the world. Navarro added, this is a historic turning point in America's effort to onshore its pharmaceutical production and supply chains. Yeah, I've been saying for a while, I think globalism might be dead at this point. You only get fooled once by a nation like China, and they're looking out for their own self-interest, which everybody is. But we need to take some time and look at ours as well, because we as a nation do need to survive and keep going. We've got a bunch of people that depend on us, both locally and abroad. So our self-interest and our economic health is tantamount to a lot of the world at this point. The New York Times reported the company could see the contract extended for a total of $812 million over 10 years, making it one of the largest awards in the history of the Biomedical Advanced Research and Development Authority. Dr. Eric Edwards, the chief executive and president of Flow, said in an interview with the Times, "There are not a lot of people wanting to bring back generic medicine manufacturing to the United States that has been lost to India and China over decades. You need someone like the federal government saying this is too important for us not to focus on." The website, Flow Corp, bills itself as an American first company. The United States drug supply chain is broken, becoming dangerously dependent upon foreign suppliers for our most essential generic medicines. The website reads, Flow was formed to manufacture low-cost, high-quality, essential generic drugs for the United States. So this is going to be great, and bring more jobs back. Absolutely. Bring back manufacture. Bring back the automotive parts manufacturer. Bring back the engine manufacturer. Bring back everything else that's over there too. We still need to see trucks moving up and down the road, and we still need to see things get repaired, homes get built. We still need to see all this stuff, and if Turkey or China or India or somebody else decides they don't want to play ball anymore, that is a break in the supply chain, and we really need to get up onto that. So, yeah, absolutely. Bring it on home. All right, next one is from CNN. America's response to the coronavirus is the most American thing ever. This is an opinion piece that is not listed as an opinion piece. The U.S. response to the coronavirus has been consistently inconsistent. It's also uniquely American. There are no national guidelines and no organized efforts to reopen the country beyond what measures have been taken. Public health officials say one thing while governors say another, and President Trump says something else entirely. We Americans are left to make up our own minds. That's called freedom. It's always been the orientation of America on balance compared to the other countries, but to put a priority on individual freedom and liberty, says Andrea Campbell, a professor of political science at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who studies the intersection of politics and public health. It's the ideal that birthed the U.S. when the colonists split from the British monarchy to establish their own nation. It powered pioneers who ventured west to the frontier, where they settled their own towns and made their own rules. It's in our DNA. It's also sown deep political divides, distrust of centralized authority. Good. And even skepticism of science, and it's informing the country's unruly response to this pandemic. It's reinforcing our partisan politics. Republicans and Democrats interpret individualism differently. When's the last time you saw a Democrat espouse individualism? Because I'm pretty sure it's been since the 90s. And those divides are more pronounced than ever in our deeply polarized political climate. Now, even the pandemic is refracted through an ideological lens. Nothing binds groups together like facing a common enemy, says Ann Keller, a University of California, Berkeley associate professor who studies pandemic responses, but we're still treating members of the other party as the enemy rather than the virus. President Trump has changed the tune on coronavirus throughout the pandemic, often at the same briefing. He publicly disagreed with public health officials on reopening schools, recommended masks while saying he doesn't plan to wear one, and repeatedly downplayed the severity of the virus. Where are those 2.2 million people? His supporters are listening, so are those who detest him. Both hear what they want to. In an April CNN poll, a plurality of Americans said the federal government has done a poor job of preventing the spread of the coronavirus, but 80% of the Republicans said the federal government has done a good job, and 85% of Democrats have said the opposite. Questions over reopening are fraught too. More than half of Republicans in the same poll said they'd feel comfortable returning to their normal routines. Just a quarter of Democrats said the same. Those opinions played out in state closures. Democratic-led California shut down on March 19th, the first state to do so. Meanwhile, Republican-led states like Florida and Texas resisted shutting down until 2 weeks later and reopened relatively quickly. And South Dakota didn't shut down at all. In this unsettling time, even the wearing of a face mask has become a political statement. Yeah, you knew that was coming. It's possible for even deeply divided America to overcome party divides. Keller points to President George W. Bush, whose popularity soared from low 50s to 90% in the days after the terror attacks of September 11th. Terrorism was a national threat, and there was no question of that threat's legitimacy. But the coronavirus isn't being viewed the same way. Yeah, it's websites like CNN that are the reason for that. We have the capacity to overlook the party and get behind a president and get behind a cause, Keller says, and we're just not seeing that in this pandemic. So, yes, the author here is absolutely right. I forget the name here. Scotty Andrew. I didn't read it earlier. So Scotty is absolutely right when he puts this out here, but it's he is trying to twist this as a bad thing, and I know CNN has been one of those that fueled a lot of this going into it, that fueled a lot of the bad response. So, but yes, this is absolutely 100% in our DNA, and it's built into us. All right, next one from Fox News. California opens up coronavirus funding for immigrants in state illegally. Faces backlash. This is from Edmund DeMarsh. Undocumented immigrants in California are now allowed to apply for the state's coronavirus relief program that will pay $500 per person and up to $1,000 per household. The LA Times reported that Sacramento has freed up $75 million for the fund, which could help about 150,000 who may be facing severe hardships during the pandemic. An earlier report in the paper said the Center for American Liberty is suing the state, claiming the money is not a slush fund for the government to spend as he sees fit. It hopes to block the package. Opponents of the measure insist that any taxpayer funds should be directed to U.S. citizens who are struggling amid the pandemic. The LA Daily News reported that the state is home to about 2 million undocumented immigrants who are not eligible to receive any kind of federal stimulus. The report said the fund could hit $125 million, which would include $50 million from donations. The money is expected to run out quickly. Isn't that the California way? The money is expected to run out quickly. The state website opened on Monday, and there was so much traffic that the site crashed, the Fresno Bee reported. Yeah, why can't the government make a website? They've got limited or limitless resources to go out and get the developers to do so, and they don't handle even a quarter of what Amazon does in a day, and Amazon doesn't crash. The website is currently up and running, and we are continuing to increase its capacity, Scott Murray, a spokesman for the state's Department of Social Services, told the Bee. Kim Willett, an attorney and fellow with the Legal Aid at Work, told the paper that the state should step in and do something more significant because the funds will only cover a percentage of the immigrants in the state illegally. Applications will be accepted until June 30th or until the funds run dry. Guessing it's going to be the latter. Guessing it's going to be the funds are going to run dry first. Governor Newsom announced April that he would spend $75 million of taxpayer money to create the Disaster Relief Fund for immigrants living in the country illegally. He was criticized by some Republicans in the state. State Republican leader Shannon Grove said it was at the time that Newsom should spend the money instead on food banks, equipment for students to continue their education online, and local governments struggling with the revenue loss. And this is just me. But if you really want to get the federal benefits and the state benefits without causing a controversy, you could just apply for citizenship or at least a green card or something. Anything. Make it legal, then you never have to worry about ICE again. Sounds like a simple solution to me. All right, next one. From CBS. Why do I have this? Oh, there. That's why, because I had the grid up. I was going to say, why the hell do I have this in the middle of my headline? Barr does not expect investigations of Obama-Biden stemming from the Russia review. This is from Melissa Quinn over at CBS. Attorney General William Barr said Monday in an ongoing internal Justice Department review into the origins of the coronavirus. I lost my place, I'm sorry. Attorney General William Barr said Monday in an ongoing internal Justice Department review into the origins of the FBI's probe into President Trump and his 2016 presidential campaign is not expected to lead to a criminal investigation into former President Barack Obama or Vice President Joe Biden. Barr made the comments during a press conference on Monday during which he was asked about Trump's recent suggestions that Mr. Obama and his top officials committed crimes in the last few weeks of the previous administration. Barr provided an update about the ongoing investigation led by U.S. Attorney John Durham of Connecticut, who was selected by the Attorney General to review the origins of the investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia. While some other aspects of the matter are being examined as potential crimes. Barr said neither Mr. Obama or Biden are expected to be prosecuted. As to President Obama and Vice President Biden, whatever their level of involvement based on the information I have today, I don't expect Mr. Durham's work will lead to a criminal investigation of either man, he said. Our concern over potential criminality is focused on others. Mr. Obama and Biden have come under attack by Mr. Trump and his allies after Biden was among a list of Obama administration officials who requested intelligence reports that unmasked former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's identity in 2016 and 2017. All of the official names were authorized to see the unmasked reports. The list of names was declassified by Acting Director of National Intelligence Richard Grenell and made public by 2 Republican senators last week. The president accused Obama of committing the biggest political crime in U.S. history and called for his predecessor to testify before Congress. He has since dubbed the episode Obamagate. Mr. Trump told reporters at the White House on Monday he's going to let Barr to make all the decisions regarding potential prosecution stemming from the investigation into the origins of the Russia probe and has decided to stay out of it. He's a very honorable man, and he's going to do a very honorable job, the best job, the president said of Barr. But I'm surprised, only in that I have no doubt, personally, I have no doubt, but he may have another feeling. I have no doubt that they were involved in it. So, this is probably the smartest move that's come out of Barr's Department of Justice. Now, if Obama and Biden were both involved, under most normal circumstances, I would say yes, they do need to be prosecuted for it, at least investigated to it. That's almost a no-brainer at this point, but part of the problem that comes along with this is exactly what we saw with the impeachment hearings and everything else that went along with it. Anything that the political opposition to Trump right now can turn into something partisan, they're absolutely going to turn into something partisan, and this is just rife with partisan, especially given the fact that everybody else has suspended their campaign and Biden is the current chief political rival. Barr's hands are tied at this point. He cannot openly investigate Biden objectively or Obama at this point, and that opens up a whole new slew of ideas into whether or not we actually prosecute sitting presidents. Kevin and I talked about this last night, and it's the same thing because we don't know. We have no precedent for this. But with Biden, he is absolutely a political rival at this point, and to do so reeks of partisanship, and the entire investigation is going to be tainted from the top, and you're never going to get an objective investigation out there for it, especially with the media running cover for the Obama administration and the Biden campaign. So yeah, there are a lot of moving pieces to this, but Barr absolutely made the right decision on this, and it was not an easy decision to make, but it's the right one. All right, the next one here we have is coming from Daily Wire, also on the same vein of Obama. Attorney General Barr, what Obama did to Trump with Russia collusion actions is unprecedented. This is from Daily Wire News. AG Barr told reporters on Monday that the actions taken by the Obama-era officials in a federal law enforcement and the intelligence community against President Trump were unprecedented in American history and represented a grave injustice. I've commented since I've been Attorney General and even during my confirmation hearings that over the past few decades there have been increasing attempts to use the criminal justice system as a political weapon. Fact check true. Barr said, and as long as I'm Attorney General, the criminal justice system will not be used in partisan political ends, which is exactly what I just got done saying. Any investigation he puts into either of those two men right now is a partisan political investigation and tainted as such. And what happened to the president, and I've said this many times, what happened to the president in the 2016 election and throughout the first 2 years of an administration was abhorrent. Barr continued, it was a grave injustice and it was unprecedented in American history. The law enforcement and intelligence apparatus of this country were involved in advancing a false and utterly baseless Russian collusion narrative against the president. The proper investigative and prosecutive standards of the Department of Justice were abused, in my view, in order to reach a particular result. Fact check true. Barr continued, we saw two different standards of justice emerge, one that applied to President Trump and his associates and the other that applied to everyone else. We can't allow this to ever happen again. The Durham investigation is trying to get to the bottom of what happened, and it will determine whether there were any federal laws broken, and if there were, those who broke the laws will be held to account. Which, I mean, yeah, it goes back to equal protection. We've seen two-tier justice systems for a long time at this point, so to get away from some of that, to get some of this back into equal protection, whereas the president has the same Fourth Amendment rights as anybody else, or I don't know, a Supreme Court nominee can get accused of somebody and request a trial by jury rather than just getting railroaded by the Senate. Equal protection is a thing, and we need to get back to it. All right, next one. Where is Christopher Wray? GOP lawmakers say the FBI director, ignoring them and push ahead for key interviews. This is from Greg Ree. Representatives Jim Jordan and Mike Johnson on Monday night said the FBI director, Christopher Wray, has declined to respond to their May 4th letter seeking information and interviews with key FBI officials after the bombshell revelations in the Michael Flynn case, prompting the lawmakers to take matters into their own hands. Because Director Wray has declined to respond to our requests, we are forced to write to you directly, Jordan and Johnson wrote an extraordinary letter to FBI agent Joe Pientka, who participated in the January 2017 White House interview that led to Flynn's prosecution. Fox News previously determined that Pientka was also intimately involved into the probe of former Trump aide Carter Page, which the DOJ has since acknowledged was riddled with fundamental errors and premised on a discredited dossier that the Bureau was told could be part of Russian disinformation campaign. Pientka was removed from the FBI's website after the Fox News contacted the FBI about its extensive role in Crossfire Hurricane Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act FISA matters, a change first noticed by Twitter user Technofog. But sources said Pientka remained in a senior role at the agency's San Francisco field office. The FBI told Fox News shortly before Pientka's removal from the website that reporting on his identity could endanger his life, even though he serves in a prominent senior role at the Bureau. Jordan and Johnson sent a similar letter on Monday to an attorney for Bill Priestap, the former assistant director of the FBI Counterintelligence Division. Explosive handwritten notes that surfaced earlier this month, written by Priestap after a meeting with then FBI Director James Comey and then FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, Fox News is told, suggested that the agents planned to interview Flynn at the White House on January 24th to get him to lie so we can prosecute him or get him fired. In an alternative, Priestap's note suggested a possible goal was to get Flynn to admit to breaking the Logan Act when he spoke to Russia's then Ambassador Sergei Kislyak during his presidential transition period. The Logan Act has never been officially successfully used in a criminal prosecution and has a questionable constitutional status. It was enacted in 1799 in an era before telephones and was intended to prevent individuals from falsely claiming to represent the United States government abroad. Priestap's memo conspicuously surfaced only this month, even though the Justice Department and FBI have been under an obligation to turn over all relevant, potentially exculpatory materials to Flynn's legal defense team since February 2018. So, yeah. I don't know where Wray is hiding, and Ray's a Trump guy. I would think that he would want to get up there and get all the top of the FBI cleaned out, because they definitely need a cleaning at this point. They definitely need a big cleaning to get this all figured out and get this back out to where we can have equal protection under the law. That's the most important part. And I would be interested to find out what Ray's reasoning was for not responding to this, but this is a developing story as we go along. And we are going to see a lot more shit come out of it. All right, next one. From MSN News. Joe Biden, well, this is actually a review from Daily Mail. Joe Biden gives Trump the new nickname President Tweety and demands he get off social media and focus on the pandemic crisis. This is going to be good. Full disclosure, I have not read this first. So I'm going into this at the same time as you guys. Presumptive Democratic nominee Joe Biden is finally attempting to sneak the same language as President Trump and has come up with a nickname for the incumbent. Trump is out there tweeting again this morning. I call him President Tweety, Biden said in a video message posted online on Monday. This is not going to end well. This is not going to end well for Biden. Biden is going to try to out-Trump Trump. Joe, call up my former governor, Scott Walker, and ask him how well it works out when you try to out-Trump Trump. Because this is not going to turn out well for you. And this President Tweety just shows the fact that the left cannot meme for shit. The nickname appears to have come after Biden had a sudden change of heart over how to deal with his opponent. Last week he said he was really resisting giving the president a moniker, but it appears Biden, who is known to Trump as Sleepy Joe, in an attempt to question whether he is fit for office, has finally reached his limit. Oh, this is going to be good. I take back everything I just said, Biden. Go full force into this. I want to see this. In an interview that appeared in Vanity Fair, Biden noted that Trump's use of nicknames was skillful. Trump is a master of laying nicknames on people. I can't hardly wait to get on that stage with President Trump, he said, adding, I'm really resisting giving a nickname to the president. The nickname of President Tweety might have been seen as apt by some who refer to Trump as the Twitter president. You mean like Obama, the tweeter-in-chief? Trump has turned Twitter into a means of presidential communication as vital as a statement from the White House press secretary or an Oval Office address. A study by the New York Times found that during Trump's first 3 years in office, he used Twitter to deliver more than 11,000 tweets. No wonder the New York Times is failing if that's what they spend their money on. In January of this year, the president set a new all-time daily Twitter of 142 tweets and retweets. In Biden's video message on Monday, the former vice president argued that Trump had been acting far too slow when it came to getting federal relief out to workers and businesses being hurt by the drastic and sudden shutdown of the economy due to the coronavirus pandemic. He doesn't have unilateral power to put aid out like that. He had to wait for the chambers of Congress, who were too busy fighting with each other for partisan politics and pork, to come together and do something for the American people that get to the president's desk and get signed. And if I recall correctly, as soon as they got done fighting about it, he signed it immediately. So yes, this can only turn out badly for Biden. This can only turn out badly for Biden, and possibly hilariously. All right. And now we've got a couple from my home state. So first from Fox 6, the local Milwaukee Fox affiliate, Governor Ebers gives up on virus restrictions amid GOP opposition. This is from AP Wire Service. Governor Ebers said Monday, May 18th, he's giving up trying to push through any more statewide mandates to try and slow the spread of the coronavirus because he thinks rival Republicans would never allow any restrictions after the state Supreme Court erased his stay-at-home order. And there it is, folks. When the Democrats and Republicans are fighting, they're not making rules that affect your life. That is the proper function of government right there. I know a lot of people are against the two-party system, but that right there is the proper function of the two-party system. To keep tyrants from trying to rule your life. Minutes after his administration scrapped plans for a new emergency rule, Evers told reporters during a teleconference that drafting such rules would be a waste of time given the GOP opposition. His stance leaves local health officials on their own as they wrestle with whether and how to maintain social distancing mandates. The Republicans made it very clear they don't believe in a statewide approach is the right way to go at this point in time, Evers said. No, that's not what they determined. That's just what you want your partisan politics to make the public believe that that's what they determined. You are only allowed 60 days by the state constitution to have an executive order before you have to sit and play nice with the legislature. And you failed to do the second part. It doesn't make a lot of sense spending a lot of time doing something we know isn't going to be successful. That's never stopped Nancy Pelosi. Evers issued a statewide stay-at-home order in March. State Department of Health Services Secretary Andrea Palm in April extended the order to May 26th. At Evers' direction, Republican legislatures balked at the economic fallout and filed a lawsuit with the conservative-leaning Supreme Court to block the order. The court on Wednesday found that Palm exceeded her authority when she extended the order unilaterally and that she should have worked with Republican legislatures on an emergency rule. The ruling immediately allowed non-essential businesses to reopen. A handful of county health officials have since implemented their stay-at-home orders, creating a patchwork of regulations that vary across the state. Which is good, because localities can figure out what's best for them. The DHS has released a scope statement for a new emergency rule after the court ruling. Scope statements are broad outlines of what rules are intended to accomplish and represent the first step in the drafting process. The statement said the agency planned to rearticulate parts of Evers' business reopening plan and balance them against elements from the stay-at-home order. But Republicans pounced, there's those words again, on that statement, saying Evers was trying to circumvent the court ruling and reinstate the stay-at-home order. That's exactly what he was doing. Assembly Speaker Robin Vos said Thursday the two sides might not reach an agreement and will be up to locals to implement their own restrictions. Republican State Senator Steve Nass, co-chairman of the legislature's Rules Committee, demanded on Friday that Evers withdraw the scope statement. The DHS complied on Monday and scrapped the plan. Yes. No. This is exactly going through, and I recommend that Michigan do the same thing because they've got a GOP-controlled legislature as well, and Whitmer just intends to keep twisting those screws. And I don't know Michigan's state constitution, so I don't know what they have in place to sue through. I know that there are two provisions in Wisconsin's constitution that made all this possible, but Michigan certainly has different rules set out because Michigan was a state before Wisconsin was. All right, next one. From NBC, Wisconsin nurse went to Barr to help sister reopen, now apologizes for lapse in judgment. I let my guard down and apologized for making everyone feel uncomfortable or at risk, said nurse Katie Kautsky, who was not wearing a mask when interviewed on TV at the Barr. This is from Minivan Burke. A Wisconsin nurse who was interviewed on TV at a local bar to support her sister's reopening is now apologizing for not wearing a mask or practicing social distancing. The apology from Katie Kautsky comes after she was interviewed Wednesday by NBC affiliate WTMJ in Milwaukee for a story on the crowds gathering at bars in the nearby city of West Dallas after the state Supreme Court struck down the governor's stay-at-home order. I have a toddler at home. I'm a full-time nurse, so it's been very stressful and hard to not be able to go out and be with friends and family at the bars, Kautsky said at the time, telling the outlet that she didn't think being at the bar presented a greater risk than going to the grocery store. More than a dozen people were inside the establishment Lemonsky's Pub. A note taped... Hey, I know where that place is. A note taped to the outside of the door told patrons to sanitize their hands and remained at least 2 bar stools apart unless they were from the same family, according to WTMJ. In a statement on Friday that was released by her employer, Advocate Aurora Health, Kautsky said she was at the bar to help her sister with the reopening and apologized for her lapse in judgment. While my priority was to support my sister in her attempt to restart the business, which has been devastated by this pandemic, I'd like to express my regret for not wearing a mask or practicing social distancing here, she said in the statement. And honestly, if the people want to see some of the social distancing go back through, this is the right avenue to do it. Make it public and let your voice be heard. And I don't agree with it. I think that she should have the freedom to do so, but public shaming does work for many things, not just masks. So there are ways other than having a government executive come down and force orders on the unbelievers to go out and get your things done. And the public, Aurora Healthcare, and many of the people in the community did find the way to do it. So, absolutely. Once again, it should be Kautsky's freedom to do what it is that she wants to do, but there are other avenues to shape public behavior other than having the executive force you to do it. So, yeah. All right, last one here, and then we'll read Twitter trending. Because he cannot be outdone by the federal government and by California, Governor Ebers announces $75 million grant program to spur states' economic recovery amid pandemic. Spoiler alert, he doesn't have that kind of money. Governor Tony Evers announced on Monday, May 18th, $75 million in assistance for small businesses as a part of Wisconsin's Economic Development Corporation We're All In initiative, a comprehensive effort to celebrate and help Wisconsin small businesses get back on their feet and support best practices to keep businesses, consumers, employees, and communities safe. A news release says this initiative will provide direct assistance to small businesses most impacted by the duration and restrictions of the COVID-19 pandemic. These $2,500 cash grants will assist in the cost of business interruption or for health and safety improvements, wages and salaries, rent, mortgages, and inventory. Businesses will be able to apply for grant assistance in early June. Governor Ebers issued the following statement in a news release. The news release says, I should read the statement if I'm going to announce that it's here. We're still encouraging people to stay home as much as possible, practicing physical distancing and good hygiene, and take protective measures like wearing a mask in public. But as more businesses continue to reopen around the state, we need to go all in on doing this together. The news release says grant recipients will become We're All In businesses by committing to safety protocols and using them in their shops, cafes, and places of work to protect their customers and employees and communities. This network of Main Street businesses will form the backbone of the We're All In initiative, along with support from major Wisconsin businesses and other associations. And I don't like a lot of what Ebers does, but I do like the way that he frames this. Because he's giving incentive to people. He's giving them the carrot instead of the stick, which for the last 3 months he's been giving us the stick. He's definitely been giving us the stick. But he's doing this now with the carrot. And I like the idea. He doesn't have the money to do this. We don't have the state money to do something like this, but he does have to figure out some way to get the state money out of this because, like Shapiro says, this isn't the fact that the government is coming in to bail out people who mismanage their funds. This is the fact that the government drove an F-150 through our house and now is on the hook for the repairs. Do I like it? No. Is it necessary? Probably. Am I more comforted by the fact that he's offering the carrot? A little bit. I don't want the stick again. I don't. It hurts. Evers, stop giving me the stick. All right. With that, we're done with news, and we are going to go on and we'll look at my notifications and see how many people were angry at me over the fact that I called Pelosi out for what she did. But what we're actually going to do is we're going to read the Twitter trending for the day, and I'm going to lose my faith in humanity. So let's go ahead and get up here and refresh, and we'll start reading. Very slow. Very slow. The laptop's getting old. All right. COVID-19 Live. Medical experts warn the virus may be a constant threat for some time. This is from a news story. Nabarro, who is the WHO's special envoy, warned that COVID-19 may be a constant threat as research into the potential vaccine continues. Sky News is on this. LBC, this is a lot of blue check stuff that's coming from mainstream news, so that's what that is. COVID-19 updates for the U.S. Yeah, COVID-19 is still here. And they're going to try and play a video, but screw the video. All right, next one. Pete Townsend is trending. So the Who did something. Hope I die before I get old. Happy 75th birthday to Pete Townsend. Well, sorry, Pete. So today is apparently Pete Townsend's birthday. All right. Hashtag President Plump. This ought to be interesting. Dude, they cut out all the trends, and it's kind of lame. I have no idea why President Plump and Trump morbidly obese are trending. This seems to be, or that seems mean and petty. I have no doubt he's taking hydroxychloroquine, just the abbreviated version. President Plump. Oh, hydrox cookies. Ha 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 ha. I've never made fun of the way somebody looks, and I'm no bed of roses, but when he told Carly Fiorina in the debates that she didn't have the look, and you folks all laughed and cheered, all bets were off. Okay, so this is two wrongs make a right, which I'm sure has something to do with the fact that Pelosi was praised over the fact that she also made two wrongs make a right. The baby balloon. Let's see if there's anything else, because I'm not going to read just two trends. There's way more going on. Alright, so Trump morbidly obese, that's where he left off on. Ambassador. Something about the Australian ambassador out there. Ambassador Rice's January 2017 email. I don't know, there's a lot of brand ambassador stuff out there that's probably trying to screw that over and make it hard to read. And we will do one more here. Trump morbidly obese. Remember when the left lectured everyone on how horrible fat shaming is? Yeah, that was the question I asked last night that pissed so many people off. Nancy Pelosi called Trump morbidly obese on air, and hypocrites come out in full force with thousands of fat shaming tweets. And of course, coming out and attacking anybody who would say that Nancy Pelosi was in the wrong for doing it. Because what about Trump? What about Trump? Trump does it. Alicia Red says, damn, Nancy Pelosi calls Trump old, fat, and stupid in one sentence. Trump criticizes anyone and everyone's looks, and I can't think of any politician who's ever criticized the president's looks. Karma is a beautiful, beautiful thing. No, that is two wrongs making it right again. So I love the fact that they put the eyes under the dunce cap because they couldn't go without calling him a Klansman. All right, that's what we're going to do for the day. That's going to be it. So we're going to call it there for the day, and we will be back here later on tonight as we do more Ed's World Gaming. I think we're going to play Pirates tonight. We need a follow-up break for a little while, but maybe I'll change my mind throughout the day because I do want to get this done and move on to something else. But maybe we'll play something else tonight. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided what we're going to do, and it's my channel, so I get the final say in everything. But come and join us for some unwind time and some video games. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's always a lot of fun. No matter what game we play, it's always a lot of fun. Other than that, we will be back here tomorrow with more Contemporary. I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary.